Kitco Mining's special coverage of Resourcing Tomorrow is brought to you by Aris Mining.
Canada is seeking its place in the energy transition. This is Paul Harris for Kitco Mining at Resourcing Tomorrow in London. And joining me today is George Pirie, Minister of Mines of Ontario in Canada, to discuss this. Minister Pirie, welcome to Kitco.
Well, thank you much. Good morning.
Good morning indeed. Canada is really making a push to position itself for the energy transition, not just in the extraction and production of critical metals, but the whole sort of supply chain. Recent evidence of that is the $1.5 billion Critical Minerals Infrastructure Fund launched by the federal government. What are you looking to do at the provincial level?
Well, number one, we welcome the investment from the federal government. That's the first thing. The provincial government has announced a few years ago $1 billion towards the Ring of Fire initiative on road. That was broadband, it was roads, and it's capacity building for the indigenous communities. We've got a critical mineral strategy that was announced about 20 months ago, March of last year. That's 6 pillars that are, I think, that are very instrumental in going after critical minerals, of course, in Northern Ontario, and it's all designed to meet the mineral production that we have and possibilities in Northern Ontario with the manufacturing might in Southern Ontario. So we have a secure supply chain, and that's the theory. We want to have a secure supply chain. I think the world's very aware of the geopolitical tensions. And I think the weakness and gaps in the supply chains were really laid bare with the invasion of Russia and Ukraine, and it's paramount that we have a secure supply chain, and we can do that in Northern Ontario and Southern Ontario.
What do you think is the role of the provincial and federal government in developing the critical metal supply chain?
Well, really and truly, we don't make the mines, we don't find the mines, but we set the table, so that the companies that come in and the indigenous communities can thrive in the participation of the developing of the mineral resources. We can't have an EV revolution without mining. It starts with the mining, and it's not just mining. It's who we are as Canadians and how we mine. We mine sustainably. We believe that we're the best miners in the world.
Now, some of the funding that's been made available, I just mentioned the $1.5 billion Critical Minerals Fund. Best case scenario, that could fund 2 mines because of the capital cost for a mine. So the question is enough money being made available?
Well, I think that where the money is, as I said, the government's job is to set the table. We won't build the mines, but we'll set the table so, in fact, that the companies come in and they can thrive. In the areas, of course, where the resources are. The private equity, or in fact offtakes with auto companies, that's where the financing will largely come from. Places like London. London's it's a great center to come into market and raise the funds into critical minerals. And the world knows they need the critical minerals, and they know Ontario's got them.
A lot of the funding that is becoming available that you've just referenced is predicated on a mineral deposit being found and delineated and ready to go into production. But you have to get there first, and that means exploration. And one could argue that's part of setting the table, helping the exploration companies prospect for, and then wrap a resource around critical minerals projects or deposits. And arguably that is where the funding gap really exists.
Well, really and truly, Ontario, that's one of the pillars that we have in our critical mineral strategy. We've got the Ontario Junior Exploration Program. We're up to $35 million on that. It's a program that's working. Ontario is already the number 1 jurisdiction for exploration in Canada, and that's part of what we're doing with setting the table. We've increased the amount of flow for funding that's available. And again, that's a tool that the governments can use to incentivize the exploration with especially junior companies.
Okay. The focus isn't just on critical metals, though, isn't it? Ontario has been a producer of precious metals, gold specifically, for a long, long period of time. I imagine that the initiatives aren't at the expense of gold. You're also looking to do that as well. How do you balance gold, precious metals, and the desires to have the critical minerals industry?
Well, my dad was born in 1920 in a house behind the mill at the Dome mine. That's where I was raised in Domindex and self-occupied. That area has produced over 65 million ounces of gold and still is. So I don't know if there's any balance required. Gold is an essential mineral that will be mined. It has been mined for eons and will continue to be mined for centuries in the future. You can see what's happening around the globe right now, the geopolitical tensions. China is the biggest producer, and they buy more gold than anybody else. And the U.S. is buying gold again right now. What gold does what it allows me as Minister of Mines is to talk about mining with impunity, talk about how good we are and how we develop the mining sector, the mining economy, and how we've evolved from where we are to how we mine right now. So I talk about all of them. I talk about the base metals, gold metals, critical minerals, and a lot of the base metals, of course, are critical minerals. But it allows me to talk about the mining sector broadly with impunity.
A lot of the infrastructure in Ontario is very well developed: roads, highways, hydroelectric power, airports, that kind of thing. But is infrastructure development or further infrastructure development part of the government's plan for the province in general, but also specifically to stimulate more mining?
Well, certainly that's what we're doing in northwestern Ontario. We have an infrastructure deficit in northwestern Ontario. Again, that goes back to the $1 billion that the province has pledged for the development of the Ring of Fire, but throughout all of northwestern Ontario. Broadly speaking, we need roads, we need rail, we need energy. Energy. We've got a Minister of Energy, Todd Smith, that's doing a fantastic job in ensuring that we'll have the energy that's required. We've got small modular reactors that are being developed in Ontario. We've got excellent partnerships with the indigenous communities and like Five Nations Energy. They're 100% on an indigenous company that has the power of transmission lines, and they're just one of the companies that's there. So we're certainly be able to provide the energy required to meet the needs of the mining industry.
Okay. Now, the Save Mining Canada or Save Canadian Mining movement has been very vocal recently, specifically arguing against the naked short selling, which, according to them, is very detrimental to the health of the sector. To what extent or not does the government get involved in things like that and setting the tone? Well,
that'll have to be there are active discussions with the provincial level on that. I know naked shorts have been a contentious issue for quite a number of years, and we're certainly having active discussions on that. Ontario, Canada is one of the few jurisdictions that allows that.
Okay. Now, we're on the verge of a new year. What can we expect to see out of Ontario in 2024?
Well, broadly speaking, if you want to talk about mines, you're going to see more exploration, you're going to see more discoveries, you're going to see more of these projects being developed towards reserve level. You're going to see positive feasibility studies, and you're going to have a couple of very exciting announcements during 2024.
Sounds a great place to do business.
It is.
Minister Pirie, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
And this is Paul Harris for Kitco Mining at Resourcing Tomorrow in London. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe.
Kitco Mining's special coverage of Resourcing Tomorrow is brought to you by Aris Mining.